Hi there, Dan from onlinebasscourses.com. I just want to show you today how to play seventh chords on bass. And I'm just going to stick to the key of G for now, G major. There are quite a few different types of seventh chords, but in the key of G major, which is G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Those are the notes. The seventh chord, well, first of all, a chord is just three or more notes played together, and a voicing is the notes that you decide to put in. So here, I'm doing the root note, the lowest note of the chord, the third, simply the third note of the scale, and the seventh, which is just the seventh note of the scale. So provided you know the notes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, you can just go G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, up seven, down one's quicker. If you think about it, you get to the same place. And then you can just find the notes yourself, but I'll show you them as we go. And very basically, you can have a root on the A string and do a seventh chord there, and you can have one on the E string and do one there. So I'll show you both ways. So I'm going 10th fret of the A string, that's G. I'm going first finger on the 9th fret of the D string, that's the third. And I'm doing the major seventh on the 11th fret of the G string. I'll often use my little finger for that. You can use your third if you want. You can play the surrounding notes of the scale to add in some melodies as you go. The 2 and the 3 chords are both the same, minor seventh, so I'm going A on the 12th fret of the A string with the second finger, and then first finger on the 10th fret, third finger on the 12th fret of the G string, that's 10th fret of the D string, the first finger. Got some finger style going, so I'm just going thumb on the A string, index on the D string, and middle on the G string. Doing what classical guitarists would call free strokes. So instead of plucking as you normally would, plucking and resting on a string, you sort of come up away from the body. You can pluck all the notes, or you can arpeggiate them, which is when you do this. If you go 2 frets higher to the 14th fret, do the same shape, it's the same chord quality. The 4 chord is the same as the 1 chord, both major 7 chords, so it's that 2, 1, 3 finger pattern. Okay, now we've got a dominant chord. The 5 chord is dominant, so that's where we're going here. That's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm rubbish at fret numbers when we get beyond the 12th fret. 17th fret, second finger, 16th fret, first finger, 17th, third finger. D7. The 6 chord is exactly the same as the 2 and the 3. That's minor seventh, so that's that second finger, and then 2 frets this way is the first finger, and then third finger. Same fret as the root. That's the 2, 3 and the 6. Those chords are all minor. Therefore, minor pentatonic scales work great underneath those. I'm going to have to come down this way because I'm running out of fretboard here. So the final chord is a minor 7 flat 5. So as the name suggests, it's exactly the same chord as before. Now, we weren't playing any fifth in any of the minor chords we've done so far. So actually the same shape would work here. So what are we doing here? Second finger on the 9th fret of the A string, first finger on the 7th fret of the D string, third finger on the 9th. So you've got your root, your flat third, and your minor 7th. Now there's that flat 5 if you want to do it that way. First finger on the 9th fret this time, the root, the F sharp. 1 fret higher with your third finger on the D string, that's that flat 5. That's a perfect fifth, a normal fifth that you would see in any other chord. And you flatten it to get a flat 5. Second finger on the 9th fret of the G. You hear that a lot in minor 2-5-1s, that chord. So that would be all the chord shapes on the A string. And let's move them to the E string now, so you have a root on the E string. Here's a common shape. I'm going to start up here. So we've got the root this time. Instead of doing, well, it's almost exactly the same shape. So that would be this. It would be 15th, 12th, 13th, 14th, yeah, 15th fret, second finger on the G, on the E string. Then this would be the third, 14th fret of the A string. I told you I was rubbish. 2 frets higher on the D string, and that would be your pattern that we did on the A string. Now what I want you to do is put that first finger, the third of the chord, up the octave. It separates the notes out, spreads them out a bit more, and you get this really nice voicing. Remember, a voicing is the notes you choose to put in. I could put a root, a fifth, and a 9. Or a root, a fifth, and a 10th, which is that third up the octave, because in the scale, that's the 10th note. That's a root, a sixth, and a 10th. Now, literally, all you need to do, learn a scale. That's in this particular pattern. That's across all the strings. And know that a chord is 3 or more notes played together, and just experiment with adding different notes in and see what happens. Root 5 and the third up the octave, the 10th. Very plain but pleasing and nice sound. You'll hear that a lot. Now, I realise that bass players, you're not going to be playing this way in many songs at all. And that's fine, but just for composing, for ear training, for just having fun, it's a really good thing to do. And for for your theory knowledge. But let's stick to the 7th chords. I'm going to go backwards. No, I'll go traditional. I'll go this way. So instead of starting down here, I started up here. But so if you put that down the octave, so on the 3rd fret, a bit muddier down here. That's why I started up. Now go 5th fret of the E string, and first finger, and then second finger and third finger on the 5th fret of the D and the G strings. That's your minor 7th in this position. 2 frets higher is exactly the same shape. So we've got G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7. Remember, the 4 chord's the same as the 1 chord, so that shape we just did there. So we're on the 8th fret with your first finger on the E string, and then fingers 2 and 3 on the 9th fret of the D and the G. Just creating a pattern there with thumb, index, middle. Here's the dominant. This is chord number 5, the 5 chord. So I've got first finger on the 10th fret of the E string, second finger on the same fret of the D string, and I'm using that little finger, but you can use your third on the 11th of the G string. There's chord 6, the same as 2 and 3, everything on the same fret. This is fret 12 of the E, the D and the G strings. Same 2 frets higher, that's the flat 5 chord, minor 7 flat 5. There is no 5 in here yet, so if you want to add that in, maybe go 1, 2, 3 finger numbers here, and 1 fret higher on the A string. That's that flat 5. And there's chord 1 again. So there I'm going from the 5 to the 6 chord. That's that dominant 7th to the minor 7th. G major and E minor are related. So I was just doing an E minor pentatonic, very simple over that E minor 7. Using thumb here. You can use your thumb and your index to get, faster passages going. I'm just going to quickly show you. When you have two chords that are a tone apart, 2 frets apart, like we have here, we're going fret 10 with that dominant 7th chord, D dominant 7th, and we're going to the E minor 7. You can call it dominant 7th or just D7, easier to say D7. You have a fret gap in the middle, and you can put a diminished chord in there. This happens a lot, especially, well, I mean, I'm hearing this is a sort of neo-soul, new R&B type thing and not jazz, so it doesn't have to be just jazz. But that shape would be 2nd finger on the 11th fret, so would be an E flat diminished. 2nd finger on the 11th fret, E string, 1st finger 10th fret of the D string, and 3rd finger 11th fret. It can be repeated every 3 frets up from there. That can happen a lot when you've got that little gap between any 2 chords. It doesn't belong to this key though. And then, so you've got your set, excuse me, you've got your set of 7 chords that would be rooted on the A string and 7 that would be rooted on the E string. And really, we make sure that you realize that you've only got a major 7th, 2 major 7th chords. You've got 3 minor 7th. All the minor 7ths are the same shapes. You've got this dominant that crops up on the 5 chord, and you've got that minor 7 flat 5 on the 7 chord. So you've got 4 different chord qualities. That's how you would term that, different chord qualities. And you can mix and match. Put a little diminished there. I'll show you the diminished on the A string. So let's do that. This would be 1 fret higher than your G major 7th. So I'm going 3rd finger on the 11th fret of the A string. So this would be a G sharp diminished. 1st finger on the 9th fret of the D string. 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the G string. You really should know the names of those, where they occur within a key. But you don't have to just stick within a key. Music doesn't always do that, so you can just experiment. It's quite a Teen Town thing, which is major 7th chord, just moving it the same number of frets each time. In this case, 3 frets and then 3 frets down. You can certainly play a lot of jazz tunes this way. Of course, going back to my point before, you wouldn't play it like this in a gig or anything like that, but know that all a chord is notes from an arpeggio played together, and you as a bass player will be playing arpeggios. So look, there it is. So, you know, you could play those notes separately and actually sound like a bass player, and this helps with walking bass lines as well. And when you learn something like blues uses a lot of dominant chords, so you'll know what those are now, you know, so. You know, you've got your 1, 4 and 5 are all dominant here. I just stuck in a little diminished as well there. But I just thought I wanted to do that today, just a few ideas that you can mess around with major 7th chords, and also realize that you don't need to know. I know I was playing a lot of chords there, but I was doing only 4, let's forget the diminished for now. I was only doing 4 different shapes on the A string and 4 different shapes on the E string, and that's not that many shapes to have to learn. And then obviously if you can figure out how they fit within a key, that really helps. And then just forget that, you know, have fun moving it around. Realize that every single one of these chords has a scale that works underneath it if you like. Yeah, I'm going up the modes, if I can remember them. So you've got your Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. So that's a nice way to learn that as well, that the relationship between a chord and a scale, you can do that. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you subscribe, leave any comments below that you have, and I'll get back to you. See you next time.